1982. MTV was barely a year old, Pac-Man machines were everywhere, and the charts? Total chaos. This was the year a novelty track about video games sold over 1 million copies, and one band's haircut became more famous than their music. These are 7 songs from 1982 that only make sense if you were there. First up, Gloria by Laura Branigan. This was pure Eurodisco drama imported from Italy, where Umberto Tozzi had the original hit. But Laura Branigan turned it into something else entirely. A full-throttle vocal assault that made every wedding DJ's rotation for the next 40 years. The thing is, in 1982, nobody really knew what to do with it. Rock stations wouldn't touch it. Pop stations thought it was too intense. But MTV? MTV played it on repeat because Branigan's hair was magnificent and she sang like she was exorcising demons. Gloria became an anthem for people who wanted to feel dramatic at 2 a.m. You'd hear it blasting from dorm rooms and skating rinks. Everyone screaming Gloria like primal therapy. If you weren't there, you'd wonder why Americans were obsessed with yelling an Italian woman's name. But somehow it hit number 2 on the charts. And if that felt dramatic, the next hit sounded like overhearing a phone call at a California mall. Valley Girl by Frank Zappa and his 14-year-old daughter, Moon Unit. This wasn't supposed to be a hit. Frank Zappa, the experimental rock genius who once named an album, Weasels Ripped My Flesh, recorded his teenage daughter doing an impression of her classmates from the San Fernando Valley. Moon Unit's Valley Speak, like totally for sure, Gag Me with a Spoon, was satire. But America didn't get the joke. Instead, teenage girls everywhere started talking exactly like her parody. The song hit number 32, Zappa's only top 40 hit ever, and suddenly For Sure and Grody to the Max were everywhere. Today it sounds like a comedy sketch. In 1982, it was a legitimate radio hit that rewired how teens talked. And while Zappa mocked teen slang, Joan Jett was busy making every teenager believe in jukebox rebellion. Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll, the ultimate jukebox anthem that spent 7 weeks at number 1. Here's the thing most people don't know. It's a cover. The Arrows recorded it first in 1975, and it went nowhere. But Joan Jett, fresh off the Runaways implosion, turned it into a call to arms for every kid who felt like an outsider. She's singing about picking up a 17-year-old at a jukebox, but it became bigger than that. It was punk attitude made radio-friendly. Joan looked like she could kick your ass and then teach you power chords.
I want my MTV.
In 1982, that was revolutionary. But if Joan was trying to save rock, the next guys were trying to save Pac-Man. Pac-Man Fever by Buckner and Garcia. They sold 1 million copies of this. 1 million! 2 guys from Ohio wrote a song about Pac-Man, complete with arcade sound effects, and it hit number 9 on the Hot 100. Radio played it unironically. Casey Kasem counted it down. Wow, this was peak arcade mania. Pac-Man was making more money than Star Wars, and kids were getting Pac-Man wrist from playing too much. The song is unlistenable today. But in 1982, it was the sound of obsession. And if you thought that was weird, wait until cheerleaders took over MTV. Mickey by Tony Basil. She was 39 years old, a professional choreographer who'd worked with David Bowie, and had been in the business for decades. But dressed as a cheerleader, chanting, "Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine, you blow my mind." She became a one-hit wonder. The song is actually a cover too. Mike Chapman and Nikki Chin wrote it as Kitty for the band Racy. Tony flipped the gender, added pom-poms, and created something that was part bubblegum pop, part performance art. The video was revolutionary for MTV. All choreography and cheerleader formations. It was synchronized movement before Janet Jackson made that a thing. But the song itself? It's a grown woman doing a cheerleader chant about a guy who treats her badly. In any other year, this would have been too weird to work. In 1982, it went to number 1. Not every hit in 82 was bouncy though, some were pure heartbreak. Tainted Love by Soft Cell. Mark Allman took Gloria Jones's Northern Soul classic from 1964 and turned it into something completely different. Cold, synthetic, desperate. This wasn't the warm Motown sound. This was Sheffield synth pop, all drum machines and darkness. The original was about love gone wrong. Soft Cell's version sounds like love dying in a nuclear winter. It spent 43 weeks on the Hot 100, a record at the time. The song is basically 2 chords and existential dread, but it captured the Cold War mood. A British guy in eyeliner, a Minimoog bass line, and a song about toxic love. Somehow it became the best-selling British single in the US to that point. And finally, the strangest combo of music and fashion in chart history. A haircut that outlived the band. I Ran by Flock of Seagulls. The song is actually pretty good. Atmospheric new wave with a killer hook about alien abduction or nuclear war, or maybe just avoiding your ex. But nobody remembers the lyrics. They remember the hair. Mike Score's gravity-defying wings and waterfall combination that looked like he'd been styled by aliens. The band insisted they were serious musicians. They had synthesizers. They had concepts. But MTV just kept showing that hair, and that's what stuck. I Ran hit number 9, their only top 10 hit, and became shorthand for everything excessive about the 80s. You can't explain to someone who wasn't there why a Liverpool hairdresser with a synthesizer and architectural hair was a pop star. You just had to be there watching MTV at 3 p.m., wondering if this was music or performance art or both. So that was 1982, video games, Valley Girls, heartbreak synths, and haircuts that defined a decade. Which of these made you go, wait, that was actually a hit? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you thought 82 was wild, just wait until we talk 1987, when Rick Astley, Tiffany, and George Michael spelling out SEX all somehow coexisted on the charts. Subscribe if you want to see how much weirder it gets.